Yo, what's up, guys? It's Dave. It's pretty late here, but Witchfire just came out with a bunch of dev blogs that are kind of highlighting what's going to be happening in their new update, their zero point 0.8 Reckoning update, which is coming out in just a couple of days, which is pretty crazy. But I kind of wanted to go over these ideas and these new mechanics that are coming to the game with the zero point 0.8 update and just kind of highlight everything. All of this information is from their dev blogs, which I will link in the description below in case you do want to check that out and read everything for yourself. But these are kind of just the main takeaways from all of that. And also, I kind of ordered it in order of what I think will be most impactful for the game and what I think is most interesting. So first, I kind of just wanted to recap where we're at in the early access roadmap. Basically, we're down here at the zero point 0.8 Reckoning update. Some of these things that they have listed here, like Extraction 2.0, and two new witch votes. There's actually only one, and some of this is a little different, but there's also a bunch of stuff that's in this update that's not listed here. So this is kind of a brief overview. Obviously, they had already come up with this roadmap. This is from a few months ago, but we are pretty close to their full release of the game. And I think the highlight from this is they're pretty on schedule, honestly. December 2025. I was wondering if they'd get this update out this month, but they obviously are, and I fully expect the full release 1.0 of this game to come out in 2026. So let's get into it really quick. First off, like I said, the release date is December 12th. So by the time you see this video, this update might already be out. That's super quick. It's December 10th now. So this is pretty quick turnaround. They literally released this release date, I guess, today. So that's pretty impressive that they're getting this out this quickly. So first getting into what I think is actually the most interesting part of this update, which is their new mechanic called road corruption. This, I think, is super interesting and it's going to spice up a lot of your runs out there. And they describe it as a chaotic rising instability that intensifies the longer the prayer lingers in the expedition. And there's also going to be chests that are locked by divine essence requirements here. And this was what they had previously called Extraction 2.0. They kind of ditched that idea a little bit and morphed it into this. And I think this just, by the sounds of it, really makes the extraction experience a lot more high risk, high reward, and makes it more dynamic, unpredictable. And so basically, what it's going to be is at Gnosis 3, this whole mechanic is going to start. And in your maps, the longer you're in an expedition, basically, the more chaos ensues. And they describe chaos as more and more unstable rifts, which spawn and can release additional monsters into the world. They also described like the possibility of like a golem that can spawn and track you down slowly, but it doesn't stop. It kind of seems like that hypothetical question, like, would you take $1 billion, but there's a snail that's never going to stop coming for you. And if it touches you, you die kind of deal. If you've heard of that one, I don't know why it reminds me of that, but it kind of is interesting in terms of like some of the unpredictable and interesting mechanics they could throw at you due to this new road corruption mechanic. And basically, the big thing with it is as you interact with it, you're going to earn divine essence, which is currently only earnable within the tower. Now you can earn that outside of the tower in all of your maps by engaging with this mechanic. Again, it's just more dynamic, more surprises. And they said it's different than calamities, obviously. And that the way to think of it is calamities are more localized, deal with it right now kind of events, and world corruption is slow, but it kind of unravels the entire world and the entire map around you. I think this is a much needed kind of change. I think it makes extraction so much more unique. I can't wait to kind of check this out and see how it actually plays. Because I just think that your extractions kind of needed a little spice to it. When you load into an expedition currently, you kind of just, the enemies are where they are, and they change a little bit with the map layout and things like that. But having different things that are going to hit you with more and more intensity and different each time really is going to spice up a lot of your runs, I think. The second kind of mechanic that they're ending is this codex. It's the Codex Maleficarum. I am going to butcher that. I just butchered it. If you know how to pronounce that, please let me know. We're just going to call it the Codex. It seems like more of a end game system, kind of like a bonus, harder challenge, more reward that you can kind of do once you've mastered the kind of normal basic gameplay loop of Witchfire. Basically, the lore behind it is there's this book containing information on known witches, and it's going to be in this room. This room is the profane study. You have to find a key and get to a certain gnosis level to unlock this room. And then you can find lost pages out on expeditions, and you return them to the study. Basically, then certain pages can form sets, which form a torment, which is a gameplay challenge. You can survive these and get more rewards. They're a little vague about exactly what these are going to be. We're going to have to kind of get our hands on this, I think, a bit more and actually check out what these challenges are and what the actual rewards for these challenges are. But it sounds super interesting in terms of different challenges that can really spice up your run and your game just in general, and just add more challenge and more replayability to the game. And just as this is an optional challenge, but they are introducing more powerful new rewards. Again, they're kind of big on that. We're gonna have to check it out for ourselves to see. But to actually get these, you're gonna have to engage with this system, which sounds pretty interesting. And then the third kind of main thing that I'd say they're adding to the game for this update is melee weapons. The kind of key thing with that is it's not a replacement for guns. It's not like you're gonna have your melee weapon and just like turn into a melee character like totally, but they are a replacement for your fists. And every melee weapon has a melee special, they call it, which is kind of a different special ability, which means that when you perform specific actions during specific moments, you kind of activate this. They gave the example that when you crouch while jumping with a Morgenstern, it makes the weapon do a double hand swing effect and you slam it into the ground. It looks pretty cool. So each weapon actually has a different melee special. And there's four melee weapons that will be available: the fist, Morgenstern, Katar, and Buckler, just kind of spicing up the game a little bit. And I think these will be cool to check out and just add a little more spice to your run. They're not going to be again a replacement for guns or anything, but just kind of add a little spice. You can smack someone around with a mace basically instead of your fists, and it's kind of interesting. Next mechanic is surges. So these are actually going to be player boosts. We've talked a bit about changes to monsters and making the monsters more difficult, but these are actually going to be boosts to you. So basically, some monsters will drop this. You'll also be able to find it randomly scattered on the map occasionally. And basically, these are just going to be surges essentially, and they could give you boosts like infinite stamina, accelerated spell cooldowns, increased weapon damage. Kind of put some of the power back in your hands. They can really kind of shift the tide of things. If like your run's looking pretty bleak, you might be able to find a surge and then just do infinite spell damage for a amount of time and really just save your run. So it kind of is again another thing that's going to just spice up runs a bit, which is awesome. There's also going to be more fallen prayers available to some. There's currently 3 in the game in that Vestal Flame with the, like, I think there's, like, 9 spots, so there'll probably be even more after this added to the game. Right now there's only 3 available. They're gonna add 3 more, with traps, exit porter, or firepower, and the limit on how many fallen prayers in the Vestal Flame can support remains the same, which I believe is 3. And you can also revive fallen prayers during an expedition for a price. So, kind of making some changes to this system, adding on to it. Eventually, there, like I said, I think there's 9 spots or something that are around that Vestal Flame. Eventually, all of those will probably be filled out. So, just kind of adding more to that. I'm assuming you're going to have to unlock each one by finding the 3 like shards that you have to do for all the other fallen prayers. So, just adding more depth to an existing system. They're also going to be adding some new weapons, 3 new weapons to the game: the Fatum, which is a machine pistol, the Martyr, which is projectile, and the Tribunal, which is a triple barrel shotgun. So just adding some more weapons to the game. I feel like the weapon play in Witchfire is, in my opinion, the best part of it. So I'm definitely excited to check out a few more weapons. They are also adding 1 new Witchfall. They hoped to have 2 out, but they couldn't get the other one down in time. But this is the largest one yet, and it's in Velmorn, which is, I think, their coolest area. So I think that is more than fine. So 1 new Witchfall, Velmorn, largest one yet, can be very cool. Hermitorium training range update. They're adding the ability to summon 3 enemies now instead of just the one. I think there's just actually, you don't even summon the one guy. He's just kind of hanging out there infinitely just in that dark room. Kind of weird, but um so now you can do 3, so he has some buddies in there, and you can also do different enemies. Any enemy that you've killed a sufficient amount of time, You can summon there. You can't do bosses, and then there's also a Basin to restore spells, stamina, and ammo. And unlocking an enemy in the summoning circle will also reveal their lore in the bestiary, which is kind of a new system, just giving lore to some of the enemies. They're also adding an arachnophobia filter, which I think is really cool. I've had I don't know, a weird issue with spiders in some games. I don't think it's as bad in Witchfire just because the spiders are, I don't know, not for whatever reason, they don't bother me that. My most embarrassing confession is that, like, the spiders in Minecraft basically made that game unplayable for me. I cannot deal with spiders. But it's actually pretty cool that they're adding this, and just to show, this is what these spiders look like currently, and this is what they look like with the filter on. So they actually, like, did quite a bit of research into arachnophobia, obviously, and realized that I think the big thing with it is actually just the legs. At least for me, like, I mean, obviously, just making these things super dorky is definitely the way to go instead of just making them, like, into a cute skin. I think that this is actually a pretty good change because obviously nobody wants to just be absolutely terrified to the point where they don't want to play the game. They're also doing some more accessibility features. You can change the font, make it bigger, you can make it smaller, and they're getting rid of a lot of the cursive font to make it more readable. And they also said additional accessibility options will be available in the future, which is all great. And then there's the last couple of things here. They're doing a slight redesign to the prayer menu screen in the gun room to add melee weapons, obviously, so you can actually select which melee weapon you want to use. So they're doing a slight redesign there. And Witchfire is now Steam Deck verified. I don't have a Steam Deck myself, but that's obviously good news for the game. It does seem like a pretty chill game to, like, just watch on the couch with some background TV and just slay some monsters. Sounds like a pretty good time. And yeah, that's basically it. Like I said, update is coming out in 2 days. I'm going to be playing it all weekend. I'll be streaming on my Twitch. I'm also going to put this dev blog, like I said, in the description below if you want to check out all of this for yourself. Let me know if you're excited for this update, what your feelings are. I think there's quite a bit here. It seems like there's not new areas or anything like that, but they're really introducing new mechanics that I think are going to add a lot of replayability. I think that's kind of my big thing with this update is it seems like they're addressing replayability in a big way by adding world corruption and the codex. I'm really interested to see how it is. I'll be making more videos on this update that are more actual gameplay than just kind of notes and summaries. So if you're interested in that, subscribe, check it out. And I hope you'll have a great time. And I hope you have a great time enjoying the new Witchfire update.